Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakai Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught us His truth and who rule well, peace, and love. Salutations and mercy be unto the hopeful elect, Euakim and few Aquathium, that believe in Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, with your whole heart, mind, body, and spirit, and who are waiting for these last and final prophecies to unfold and happen in the earth in the return of our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai, which are first and foremost, the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, for giving me the inspiration to do this lesson. There's not too many more prophecies that will happen versus what has passed already. There's a lot of prophecies that have passed, and there's just a few prophecies left, such as the time of Jacob's trouble, the time and hour of temptation, which is the moment where Esau implements the MOTB system worldwide, and he forces everyone, through the penalty of being exiled or shut out from society, and eventually put to death, that if they don't take the MOTB, that will happen to them. They will be jailed, thrown into concentration camps, and eventually, put to death. But we believe that through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, we will be kept in that time, from that event, even though we will be in the midst of it, and the Lord will keep us safe and will provide for us. We believe that through faith. And in the midst of all of that going on, the world will begin to fight a third world war. And that third world war will culminate into a nuclear war, which is going to end, this great nation, Babylon, which is a spiritual name for America. The inspiration of this lesson comes from a song which shares the same title with the movie, which is called No Blade of Grass. Now, the movie is a sci-fi apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic fiction, but it's not really a fiction because of the events that were happening within the movie. It hits home when it comes down to prophecy. These are prophetic things that will happen in the time of trouble. There will be plagues and pestilence, which in the movie, a plague broke out within China. And it was a plague that affected the different grasses, which according to the movie, and I'll have to look into this to see if it's true, but wheat is within the grass category as well. So the wheat was affected, in different grains and things of that nature, which eventually spread into the livestock. And from the livestock, it spread into humans. So things got bad because it was spreading all over the world to the point where the cities were locked down under martial law. And not too long after the cities were locked down under martial law and people began to run out of food, they began to rise up against the authorities. They rose up against the police, their government, and they fought against each other. So there was a family or a man named, I believe his name is John Cousins within the movie. And he was trying to get his family out of the city, which in the movie, his daughter ended up getting ravished as well as his wife getting ravished, and I was surprised that they showed that within the movie, because that's something that's going to happen as well. They mentioned cannibalism was on the rise because when people ran out of eatable food, which first it got reduced down to them eating horse meat. They had goat, and there's another meat that I can't think of right now that they ate, but once they ran out of that, they began to fight against each other, murder each other, and eat each other. So he was trying to get out of the city, to flee the devastation and the catastrophe that was happening in the city. Now, in the intro of that movie, and in the outro, they played a song by an artist, all right, whose name is Roger Whittaker. All right, and the song and the movie goes back to the 70s. Now the song to me is a very good song, but it's like Esau is prophesying his own destruction on the left-hand side. So they know what's coming down the pike. They know what's getting ready to happen to them. And if the algorithm on YouTube wasn't so poor, I'd actually play the song, but I'll put a link, within the description box so that you can check it out. But ultimately, Esau knows that they've polluted the earth. All right. And they know that all of the things that they've done, beginning with the elites, are leading up to their demise and destruction. Now, when you go into the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter, in verse 4, it says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, and broken the everlasting covenant. So this earth is polluted under Esau Edom. And that's what this artist is singing about. But to me, what I'm gathering from the song is that they know that their pollution and all of the things that they're doing in the earth is leading to them not existing anymore. Now it mentions, no blade of grass grows and birds sing no more. No joy or laughter where the waves wash the shore, because eventually Esau is going to be taken out by thermonuclear destruction. I mean, the only ones that are going to be left are the rich elite banking families, which are going to be the first to go into captivity. All right. But eventually they're going to cease to exist as a nation. All right. Because they're going to be completely wiped out, which I'll get into that later. But the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter, in verse 12, it says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up into the clouds, and their enemies beheld them. In the same hour there was a great earthquake, and a 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were frightened and gave glory to the power of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So within this third woe are the 10th part of the city, which is the whole landmass, all right, of Babylon, the whore, is going to be completely destroyed. The book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter, in verse 5, the sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. The sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with the fatness and with the lambs, the blood of the lambs and goats, and the fat of kidneys of rams. For Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. So that great slaughter is going to consist of the people. They're going to be the fat of the kidneys of rams, all right, and the sacrifice that is burned up within this place when it gets hit with thermonuclear destruction. Jumping down to verse 9, and the stream thereof shall turn into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. See, this land is going to look like a lake of fire, all right, when it's hit with the thermonuclear destruction. And in the midst of that, no grass is going to be here. No trees are going to be here. The buildings are going to be toppled, all right, and destroyed. The elements are going to be melt with the fervent heat. All right, people are going to be destroyed. So it's not going to be any birds, singing, and no people, laughing where the waves wash the shore. All right, because ultimately laughing that represents and being somewhere with waves, rocks, or shore, that represents a paradise. And that reminds me of what the scriptures say. It says, before them, it was a paradise, but after them, basically destruction. And that's quoting the book of Joel, the 2nd chapter. Now, reading on, it says, it shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation, it shall lie waste, and none shall pass through forever and ever. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, and the owl also, and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and a stone of emptiness. Because eventually those desert creatures will migrate back to this land and live in it. But upon this place being destroyed, it's not going to be a livable habitation for anything, not even grass. All right, not even grass. So this place is going to be destroyed. The scriptures say that the Lord will stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stone of emptiness. When you look at a map of the United States of America, you have the dividing lines that separate state from state. All right. And when you look at it, it looks like a line of confusion. It looks like a maze of confusion. Well, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to allow that thermonuclear destruction to destroy the whole landmass of this country, all right, which is going to cause that line of confusion to be broken up. Going back to the song, it says, gone are the answers, lost all we have won. Gone is the hope that life will go on. Because when you go into the scriptures, what the elites want for themselves is they want their rulership to continue on. And although they know what's going to happen, they're still trying to fight. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua has hardened their hearts and put it in their mind to still try to continue to make their rulership extend and go beyond, the set measure that's prepared for them. The book of Psalms 49 and 11, it says their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generation. They call their lands after their own names. So although they know that their rulership is coming to an end, in the book of Revelation 12 and 12, it says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. His heart is still hardened by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua to try to continue to make their rulership go on. But due to the fact that Yahweh has determined his days, it won't go on. All right? They're getting ready to lose all that they have won. And all of the things that they have won are things that were gotten through rape, robbery, and murder. The book of Sirach 10 and 8, because of unrighteous dealings and injuries gotten by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. Everything that Esau has gotten has been through force. All right. When you go into the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, and going to the 4th verse, it says, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, and full of the abominations and filthiness of her fornication. The purple and the scarlet color, and the gold and precious stones and pearls represents the things that were taken away from the so-called Native American and Seminole Indians and the Latinos. All right, when they were subjugated and slaughtered, all right, by you when you came over here, and then later on you took their brethren, all right, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, all right, starting with Judah, because Judah is the head tribe, the so-called North American Negro, all All right, the Haitians and the Jamaicans, you subjugated them and put them in slavery, and you caused them to work those lands that you took away from the so-called Latino and so-called Native American and Seminole Indians, all right, which is the northern kingdom of Israel. That's how you became rich. That's how you became wealthy. All right, so those are the things that you have won. And how did you win them? Through warring against a peaceful people. Now, reading on, it says, no fragrant springtime and no autumn gold, summer and winter. All right, the heart now grows cold because when this destruction happened, all right, there's not going to be a fragrant springtime, which when the springtime comes, when things begin to bloom, you can smell the flowers, you can smell the aroma from the trees. All right, even the rain has a beautiful smell to it. All right, you during the time of autumn, and the leaves are falling off the trees, and the leaves turned a different color, like a orangish color. Some of them are brown, some of them are red, but for the most part, there's like a orangish color that they turn. And then the winter time, those seasons aren't gonna come because this place is gonna be destroyed. All right. And before the destruction comes, you're gonna have the Egyptian against the Egyptian. You're gonna have families against each other. All right, you got Edomites that see these things coming. They're getting addicted to opioids. They're overdosing on those. They're addicted to alcohol. They're dying from alcohol poisoning. They're rising up against their own family members, committing murder suicides. These things are happening because the heart is growing cold, according to Matthew 24:14. It says, dreams that we lived for all have to go. Gone with the dawn that we'll never know. And the reason that you'll never know is because eventually Obadiah 1:18 is going to set in. And the Edomite is not going to be found anywhere. The book of Obadiah 1:18, the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. They shall kindle in them and devour them. There shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh have spoken it. So when you're getting taken down, you're not going to need your land, because even though Mount Seir was given into Esau, Esau is going to be completely gone. So that land is going to become the children of Israel. And they of the south shall possess the mountain of Esau, and they of the plain, the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. All right. So you're going to be taken out. There's not going to be any remaining of the house of Esau, according to what the scriptures say. All right. So your American dreams, or your dreams of continuing to be in power, is going to be gone with the dawn that you will never know, because what's getting ready to happen is when we get in power, all right, when that day comes, that day finally comes, and Yahweh Shai comes and save us, we're going to rule over. All right. And you're going to go into captivity. The scriptures say, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. But then eventually, after 1,000 years of captivity, you won't be around. You're going to be taken off the earth. It's good. Your dreams of living forever and being in power is going to be gone with the dawn that you will never know. It says, when we were younger, the earth was green. When we were children, the oceans was clean. Flowers were blooming, trees straight and tall. The sky was blue when we were small. And that reminds me of the book of Daniel, And you can begin at the third verse, which speaks about the great beast. It says, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. And once again, this is Daniel 7:3. And the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it, which is dealing with the Babylonian Empire. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised itself up on one side, dealing with the Persian and the Mede Empire, all right, which was joined together, but the Persians became higher than the Medes. So that's the reason why a bear lifted up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like unto a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl, and the beast had also four heads, and dominion was given unto it, which is speaking of the Greek Empire, all right, which the Greek Empire started with Alexander the Greek, all right, who conquered Darius, all right. And after Alexander the Creep, his four generals rose up after him, all right, which was Ptolemy, all right, it was Seleucus, all right, Lysimachus, and the fourth, I believe, was Cassander, all right. It says, and the beast also had four heads, and dominion was given unto it. Now that also represents the beginning of Esau coming into power, all right, and him climbing from a very low state, all right, they came into power. So after that beast, all right, and after that I saw in the night vision, and behold, the fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceeding, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and had 10 horns, which represents the Roman Empire. So Esau went from the Greek Empire to the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire represents, the Greek Empire represents their youth. And when you go into the book of Job, it says that their sins are, their bones is full of the sins of their youth. So that's what this reminds me of when it says when we were younger, the earth was green, because at this time, there wasn't really any pollution in the earth, but as the time goes on and you come up to the times like World War, One, World War II, that caused a lot of pollution in the earth. But a lot of pollution was caused during the Industrial Revolution. All right, during the Industrial Revolution. And I have an article from history.com, and it says water and air pollution have altered the course of the Earth's history, along with amazing technological advances. The Industrial Revolution of the mid-19th century introduced new sources of air and water pollution. By the middle of the 20th century, the effects of these changes were beginning to be felt in countries around the world. In the 1960s, an environmental movement began to emerge that sought to stem the tide of pollution flowing into the planet's ecosystem. One of the movements came even like Earth Day in legislative victories like the Clean Air Act in 1970. So the Industrial Revolution paved the way for a lot of pollution to happen. Reading on, it says, in the latter part of the 13th century, in an effort to reduce air pollution, England's King Edward I threatened Londoners with harsh penalties if they didn't stop burning sea coal, However, the king's regulations and those of the subsequent leaders had little effect. And not even just dealing with London, but dealing with America as well. And even today, you have a bunch of ships, that set sail and come to America, that brings different things here, like oil, and things to be sold, polluting the waters. All right. But when Esau was back within his youth, during the time when they came into power as the Greeks, there wasn't no pollution on the level of this, and then when they grew into the Romans, still, even though they were doing wicked things in the earth, there was still no pollution on the level of what pollution is on now. Now, when you fast forward, and I'm going to keep reading on in the book of Daniel, it says, and I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. Because eventually, out of the Roman Empire, which Rome fell, but it came back into power during the Renaissance era. And a part of Rome is England and Great Britain, but America came out of England, and Great Britain. They came over here as the Pilgrims and the Puritans, and they formed the 13 colonies. So America was small, all right, or the 13 colonies were small, and that's the reason why it mentions them as a little horn. So going back to, the song, all right, the song says, it says, the sky was blue when we were small. So even then, the pollution still wasn't, rampant in the earth. But eventually that pollution grew, when they began to, after they became established, as the nation of America. All right, and they began to expand, all right, throughout this country. All right, and eventually you had the Industrial Revolution. So Daniel 7 and 8 is speaking about, America. All right, in America, before they was established, they started off as the 13 colonies, which subdued, the French, the British, and the Spanish. Those were the other three horns. So reading on, it says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, and his garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like unto pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fires, which this is given a depiction of the Most High, whose name is Yahweh. All right, it describes him as a Negro looking man. All right, because Negro looking men have hair like wool. All right, wool is like a coarse texture. So it's describing the Most High Heavenly Father, who looks like a Negro man. Reading on, the fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened, and I beheld. Then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even to the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the flames. Because eventually this place is going to be completely wiped out, and Esau knows this. So the song reads, it says, we circled Mars and walked in the moon. We reached the stars, or one day soon. But no blade of grass here and no blue above. No you and me. It's the end of life. All right, because eventually it's going to be the end of life for Esau Edom after 1,000 years. So you really begin to fall when you didn't walk on the moon, but you sent your rovers and your satellites into outer space. All right, supposedly even into Mars. So you reached the stars according to Obadiah 1 and 4. But the scriptures say that when you set your nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down. So since you went into outer space, you've been being brought down. Obadiah 1 and 4, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. So you've been on the decline since then. But the day is going to come when you're going to be completely destroyed and taken down. All right, and that goes for all of you Edomites. Now, going to the book of Job 18 and 10, it says the snare is laid for him in the ground and the trap for him in the way. And you've been caught up in that trap that's been laid for you by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Terror shall make him afraid on every side and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin, even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. And that's the reason why I mentioned in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, verse 11, I beheld him because of the voice of the great words, which the horn spake, which this horn is same as the woman or the whore within Revelation, the 17th chapter. I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame, because you're going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. So that heat from the thermonuclear destruction is going to devour your flesh, is going to devour your skin, meaning that it's going to destroy this country. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. It shall dwell in his tabernacles, because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation, all right, which is the destruction that's going to come from those nuclear warheads. His root shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no more name in the streets. Yeah, because like it was read in the book of Obadiah, eventually Esau, Edom is going to cease to exist. Hey, look, you had your time to rule over. You polluted the whole planet and you destroyed everything, man. You destroyed the earth and its ecosystems. You destroyed the air that we breathe. All right, you destroyed the sea and the ocean, which is polluted. All right, you have cancerous causing chemicals. All right, radiation, that have been wasted in the sea. All right, a lot of animals have died. The coral reef is dying. All right, animals beaching themselves, oil spills. All right, you have wars that are fighting on the land that's displacing people, as well as the animals that live within that region. All right, you have destroyed nations. All right, in their memorial. You've destroyed cities. All right, you've destroyed food. All right, you've put so many different pollutions and things that are out there that it caused the foundation of the earth to be out of course. Even seasons aren't happening according to the time that they're supposed to happen. He shall neither have no son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings. They that come after him shall be a stone at his day, as they that went before him were affrighted. Surely such are the dwelling of the wicked, and this is the place of him that knoweth not Yahweh. So this destruction is getting ready to happen. All right, and like it says within the book of 2nd Ezra 15 and 41, fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full of, and all rivers with abundance of great water. And they shall break down the cities and walls and mountains and hills and trees of the woods and grass of the meadows and their corn. And what does the song say? It says, no blade of grass grows. So that heat is going to destroy everything within this country. It says, and they shall go steadfastly into Babylon and make her afraid, and they shall come to her and besiege her. The star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and the smoke go up unto heaven, and all they that go about her shall be well her. All right, which these nations that were made rich off of her is going to stand afar off. All right, looking at the devastation and the destruction that comes upon his country. And they that remaineth under her shall do service unto him that put her in fear. So when this nuclear destruction happens, it's not going to destroy every single person upon the planet Earth, but it's going to hit the main parts where the people of the wicked dwells, which is Edom, which is America, different parts of Europe, and the land of Israel. The book of Ecclesiastes 4:16, there is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall rejoice in him. Surely this is also vanity and vexation of the spirit. So everybody upon the planet Earth isn't going to be destroyed, but there's going to be certain parts of the earth that are destroyed, and then the rest of the people that are alive are going to be under the Israelites. They're going to be under Yahweh Shai and the Israelites, doing service unto us and serving us in slavery. Isaiah 45:18, for thus saith Yahweh that created the heavens, Yahweh himself that formed the earth and made it, he hath established it, and he created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. So Yahweh created this earth to be inhabited, but this earth is being polluted by Esau, Edom. So he didn't create it to destroy it to the point where it doesn't exist anymore. So what has to happen for us to be able to enjoy what's getting ready to be given unto us, this earth has to first be cleansed. And what's going to cleanse it is going to be the thermonuclear destruction. And that's the reason why the scripture speaks about the besom of destruction. The book of Isaiah 14 and 23. And first, before that happens, now let me just hit this point. It says, I will also make it a possession for the bittern in a pool of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, said Yahweh of hosts, which is speaking about the thermonuclear destruction. All right, that thermonuclear heat and wind that's gonna happen, those heat waves that happen from the nuclear explosion. Well, that's what's gonna cause, that besom of destruction. So I thought that was an interesting song, and it's also an interesting movie. Hey, go and check it out, and hey, maybe the spirit will give you, a perspective on it as well. So Yahweh Ratazah, this lesson was edifying. All praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh by Shemiah Washai. Double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught us this truth. Peace, love, salutation, and mercy be unto the hopeful elect. A shalom and abad babal. Kwam Bakiyam.